Hello and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to take a look at how we can go about building a roller coaster in Crayta. So to start with, I'm going to be using the TrackWorks package, which is Ed's package that's all to do with trains, minecarts and anything else that moves on tracks. If you haven't used the TrackWorks package before, I strongly recommend that you check out either Ed's package guide, which you can find on forum.crayta.com, or go and look at one of my other videos where I look at making trains that move around in Crayta. In this scenario, in this game, I already have this train that moves around here. And what I thought I would do is add a roller coaster to this. So let's start by opening our library, going to the Meshes tab and finding our roller coaster tracks. You can do that by typing in roller here and then it will filter everything to only things with roller coaster or roller in the name, or you can just navigate through the list. I like to do it this way. Once you're there, find the roller coaster tracks folder, click on that, and then I would start with the station. So find some flat straight track flat straight for the roller coaster and just start building your train station or your roller coaster station. So the way I did this is I just add a piece of track and then Control C, Control V to copy and paste it and then move it along. Give yourself plenty of space, both for the station itself and as a run up to the station, because it can be a bit tricky or a bit fiddly to get it to meet exactly, especially if your roller coaster is doing lots of complex twists and turns. So a station of about 3 is quite a nice length, and then give yourself plenty of space at the back and at the front to make sure that you've got room for matching up to the full loop. The next thing to do is to start building some kind of lift hill, I think. So before we can go into an incline like this, we need to smoothly get there. So to do that, we click on the track, flat straight to flat shallow slope. And then just add it to this piece of track. So clicking on that and then pressing F1 to go into our movement tool and moving it along. Now, if you hit a snag like this where it doesn't quite match up, make sure that you move it so that it's exactly matching the other piece of track. So we've got a flat piece and going into a slope. And then like all good roller coasters, we need some kind of chain pulley mechanism to bring our coaster up, because the roller coaster rider, the actual cart that goes on it, isn't powered. It's usually the track which is pulling it round. So we have our chain mechanism here which will be pulling up the cart. Now I found that this doesn't quite match up, and it's because somewhere I've gone a little bit astray. So I'm just gonna round it up to the nearest 100 and go from there, and fortunately that looks like it's worked for me. So we've got a bit of a station and then we're going straight into a lift hill, and then we might copy and paste and then just continue building our roller coaster track. And it's really enjoyable fun. It's quite relaxing actually building your roller coaster track. So make sure you spend some time on it, and I would really recommend, I would try and avoid building your roller coaster like going into tunnels or affecting anything else in your game until you have tested your roller coaster from start to finish to make sure that it properly works. So don't build your roller coaster and decorate it and everything like that, and then start to use TrackWorks to try and make it work, because your roller coaster is going to rely on physics. And if maybe some of your sections of your track might not physically work, they might look amazing, they might not physically work. So it's worth testing it properly before you go in and start making tunnels or decorating it too much. So once you've built your track and you've made it round to the end and it all matches up beautifully, then it's time to look at making it work so that we can test it. Now I'm just deleting that because I already have a track that I've built over here. So this is where my station is, round about here. And I've actually added this to a locator which I positioned at 0, 0, 0, so that I knew that when I put the locator back to 0, 0, 0, it will fit exactly. So there we go. I've got my track. Now, to make my roller coaster work, one of the things I need to do is make sure that in my game, I've used Ed's TrackWorks package. TrackWorks, make sure that it's installed. Yep, that's installed. If it's not installed, just make sure you install that package. And then I've added TW System. Now this game world already has TW System added to it. You can see it there. But if yours doesn't, just click and drag on TW System and drop it on the terrain. Ideally, the best place to put it is somewhere like 0, 0, 0, just so that it's in the middle of the game world. You can see mine's at 0, 0, 0 there. Cool. So I've got my TW System. And that's really to do with, that's a template that kind of controls most of the setup and teardown logic of any kind of track-based thing. Once you have TW System in your game world, you're going to need your roller coaster prototypes. So find in the templates tab of the library, find the TW roller coaster prototypes, click and drag and drop that on TW System. You can see I've already got mine there. Now I've also got TW Train Steam prototypes. And that's because this game already had a steam train moving around it. So I already had that, but yours might just have TW roller coaster prototypes as a child of TW System. Once you've got those things, you also need to make sure that every section of your track has the TW track section. So the next task is to go around each section of your track and click on a section, click Entity, add Script, and find TW track section. So make sure that every single part of your track has a TW track section. And this is because the TrackWorks system needs to make sure that every section of track has that attached. Once you've got that, it's time to start adding a rider and thinking about our lift hill. So by rider, I mean the cart that moves around the roller coaster. So navigate to the Meshes tab in the library, type in roller, and let's find the front of the train. I'm going to use pink, but you could choose a different color. There's yellow and green as well. Let's add that to our track. Something like that. And then with the coaster rider pink front selected, I'm just going to unparent that. And I've actually got one already down there. I'm going to unparent it so that it's separate from the track. I don't want it to be a child of the track. A better way to explore this for this scenario is now going to be for me to move this roller coaster track down to where it should be and continuing from there. Now I've already tested my track, so don't worry too much about the fact that I've got tunnels on mine, but you will definitely want to test your track before you start making any changes to your terrain or to your game world. Okay, so here we can see I have my rider seat. And one thing I've already done is added a locator as a child. So I've put on this front train rider, and then I've gone to the primitives tab, found a locator and added it to the front of the roller coaster train. So you can see that's called locator 2. I'm going to call this rider seat. And with my locator selected, I've added a TW rider seat to that. And that's so that my player can sit in that roller coaster. So entity, add script, TW rider seat. I've also hooked up the onInteract event of the actual cart. So by selecting the cart, then select the onInteract over here, click the plus to start new binding. Find the rider seat that we just created, the locator that's a child of that, and click on, make sure that's selected as the entity. The script is TW rider seat, and the event that you're looking for is sit. Once you've done that, if you test the game and make sure that you can get to your train, I'm aware that I've just told you to make it in the middle of the air and then not told you to find a way to get there. But essentially find a way to get to your train and then interact with it, and you should be able to sit in the train. And you'll be sitting exactly where that locator is positioned. So if you wanted to sit in the front seat, you might want to position it there. You could position it in the back seat if you want, however you want to do it. Okay, so that's the rider all set up. Now, let's add some train functionality to it, or more importantly, some roller coaster functionality to it. So with the rider selected, I'm going to click Entity, Add Script, and there's two scripts I need to add to this. First is TW Transform. Because it's going to be moving around and because it's a part of TrackWorks, it's just every part of TrackWorks kind of needs this TW Transform. Make sure that the speed is set to 0. And for this one, we're going to enable rail physics and give it a small friction. It needs some friction, but a small amount of friction, something like 0.05 is cool. And that's essentially one part. Let's also add Entity, Add Script, TW Vehicle is the other one I want, because this is going to be the front of a train. So we need to select is driving, but it's not going to have any speed. So let's just double check that that's all good. Yeah, let's test it now. So even though I've added is driving, you should find, or I found that it's still stationary. I can interact with it and I can sit in it. Looks like it's facing the wrong way. Let's just see if I need to turn that locator around. If, like me, when you sit in it, you're facing the wrong way or facing not the direction you want to face, just turn that rider seat round 180 degrees. And that should take care of that. Okay, so I've added I've got my rider and it's physics enabled. So it's not like a steam train where it has its own motion. It's not got an engine that takes it around. The track will pull it up and then the rest is up to gravity. So let's start by adding some kind of chain lift to this. I'm going to start with the section of track that's directly under this roller coaster. So this section of track here, coaster flat straight 3. I'm going to select the piece of track. Notice it's already got TW track section attached, and then I'm going to do Entity, Add Script, and I'm going to find track block section module lift hill, and make sure that the speed's around 500, and let's add that to a few of these. So Entity, Add Script. If I type in here TW track block, that shortens the list and should make it easier to add to the next entities. One there, one there. Let's add one there. So anywhere you want to have a lift hill on your roller coaster, make sure that you add the lift hill script to that. And I'll probably do this one as well. Cool. Okay. So that's my lift hill taken care of. Now if I test that, I should see my roller coaster. Well, it's not at the station anymore. And there it goes. So already my roller coaster is off. Come back. And this is where finally we can test the roller coaster and see if it works. Another bonus of testing the track, not going underground and things like that, is you can actually see it all and make sure that it's all properly working. There we go. So it looks like that works, and it will just continue to go round and round. Now, how do we ride it? Well, we know already that if I interact with it, if I manage to interact with it before it leaves the station, then it will allow me to get on. But what I might do is if I just select this piece of track directly underneath it and then just uncheck the active checkbox for the lift hill script. So now when I test the game, it doesn't move anywhere. And I've got time to go and get into the roller coaster, but it's still not going anywhere. Now, what I can do is when I interact with this piece of, or in this rider, let's add another binding to our on interact, and let's find this bit of track. That's coaster flat straight 3. So let's just copy that, go back to this, and let's find it. There it is. The script I'm looking for is the lift hill, and the function I'm after is activate. So when I interact with my rider, that lift hill then starts. There we go. And now we get the fantastic opportunity to ride the roller coaster that we made. So I think it's a really good idea to do it in stages. First, build the track and then put it into the terrain and add all the decorations and things like that when you know it works. And then add your rider, add the ability to ride it, because then you're saving the best kind of situation where you get to ride it with all of the decorations and stuff. Cool, that looks like it works. It's not quite done yet though, because although it's, you know, it rides around and it's fun, there's definitely a sense missing here, and that sense is sound. Let's add some sound to this. So I'm going to go to the sounds tab in the library, and one sound that I found quite good for this was not the roller coaster sound, but a skateboard wheels loop. And that's the sound of skateboard wheels. And what I did was I just drag and drop that on my roller coaster. You could choose a different sound. It doesn't have to be this one. And then I added some kind of script which can play and stop that sound. So in here you can see I've got the set active true or false. It's just a very straightforward script, and I've added that to my wheels loop. Oh, I don't need that on the wheels loop. No, forget that. Don't need that. Don't have that. Need it on a different bit later on. Okay, so I've got my skateboard wheels. On the roller coaster though, there's a really cool part of TrackWorks where Ed has written a script which manages the pitch and volume of the sound of the actual thing, and it works really well with the skateboard wheels. So with the rider selected, let's click Entity, Add Script, and let's find TW Vehicle Module Sound. TW Vehicle Module Sound. So here, the motor sound we want is our skateboard wheels. The min for my roller coaster, the slowest it goes is about 300. So I set that as the min. The fastest it goes is about 1500. And I've left the rest of this pretty much. I mean, I think something like this, and then the pitch min and max, something like 0.5 to 2. There, yeah. So we've got that skateboardy type sound. So that'll be the sound of it just like whooshing around. Let's also add the sound of this chain hill here. I'm going to add the chain hill sound to the roller coaster itself. So let's find a chain. There we go. So let's add that to the rider again. And let's just, so that's now added there. Now we need to add the script. And this is a script I've already written, but I've just called it Sound Handler, and it's very, very straightforward. It's these two functions that I've added, the play and the stop, and all it's doing is setting active to true or active to false. So if you like, you can copy what I've written here. And so we're starting with the chain sound not active. And then when the roller coaster hits this bit of hill, we'll turn that sound on. So when it gets to here, let's do on first enter. Let's find our rider. That one there. Let's find the, oh, not the rider. We need the sound, don't we? The chain mechanism sound. And let's play the chain mechanism sound. And we will turn that off when we exit this here. So on last exit, let's turn off that chain sound. Stop. Okay. So we've added a couple of sounds. Now it's time to test them out. Let's sit on our roller coaster. Sounds good to me. And what's really cool about Ed's sound module is that the pitch of the skateboard wheels going up and down really amplifies the speed and the excitement of riding on the roller coaster. Finally, if you want to add more sections of more of your rider, so additional carts, you can do that by finding the additional carts in the library. So I'm in the meshes tab and there's the different trains. So you could even mix up the colors here. And then with your train selected, scroll down with the front selected, scroll down to the TW vehicle, put the previous vehicle as the one that's attached to it. And with the next vehicle, or with the cart, not the front, with the cart selected, you're going to need entity add script. We're going to need our TW vehicle. And the next vehicle is going to be the front, coaster ride pink front for me, which is this one here. And I also need to add TW transform. And just make sure that it's not driving. And then it has enable rail physics selected. So now you can see that although in the editor they were quite far apart, they're now coupled together. So nice and tightly together. When I start, you saw for a brief second there that they're still connected. So now I've got more like a roller coaster train. And that's kind of the end of this tutorial. If you wanted to extend it further, it might be fun to look at how you might do a couple of cars or a couple of separate riders on the same bit of track so that it feels a little bit more like a roller coaster ride. It's always great fun to dress up the roller coaster as much as possible using meshes and sounds and lights, and really get creative and go to town with some of the tunnels. The sort of the closer that you can make the tunnel feel to the roller coaster, the more exciting it feels. And so, yeah, definitely play around with adding tunnels and things like that. I would say to make sure that you, ideally try to make your first one less complex so that you can spend more time having fun by riding it around and decorating it. Once you've got used to how to make it work with the physics and making sure that the track actually works properly. So make sure that you do that. Give yourself plenty of space around your station so that you can match it up correctly. Don't try and cram it in somewhere. And if you get stuck, head over to the Discord, discord.gg/Crayta, and ask questions in the Ask Anything channel. And I really look forward to seeing and riding some of your roller coasters in Crayta.